What's going on, people? Welcome back to Curtis Shaw TV. Back with another live stream. Apologies for turning up late, people. My fault. I didn't send Graham the link until late. I thought I'd already sent it him. And by the way, I have to start off the video because I know what everyone's thinking, right? And this is my reason, people. Hear me out. I was bought an Arsenal voucher for my birthday 2 months ago. The money is already in the football club. It's already in Kroenke's pockets. I thought, what am I going to do with this voucher? I'll wait until a kit comes out that I like. I went and got the kit today. I used the voucher, but I know everyone's going to be hammering me in the comments. So I'll let you know. I have to admit, the kit is nice, but we just need some decent players to play in it. There we go. There's my reason anyway. But listen, we got a special guest. The man, the myth, the legend. Brooks is back in the building. How are you, Graham, bro?
I'm all right, mate. I'm not going to give you the Laurie talk is cheap build up, mate.
No.
But I have to say, you do look really impressive in that kit. And I think you could go straight into our forward line, the way the forwards are playing at the moment.
I'm telling you,
it looks great on you. It looks great on you.
No, it's a nice kit, you know. Just they were like, oh, you can get a player's name on the back for free. And I was like, do you know what? There ain't no player at Arsenal now that I would get on the back of an Arsenal shirt. I said, can I have Thierry Henry? You know what I mean? But they said, come back. But yeah, people. Anyway, Graham, good to see you, mate. How you been?
Yeah, not too bad, mate. Do my best to sort of like not let Arsenal ruin my pre-season because they have been woeful pre-season. This new ruthless regime that Arteta talked about getting players over the line hasn't materialised yet. And the pre-season form has been indifferent. And all the same old questions remain. It's very much the same old Arsenal, isn't it? Dominant in the way we hold on to the football, get it into advanced areas, don't create. And we've got so many mistakes in us at the back that we always concede the sort of goals that I don't see any other top team conceding.
Yeah. What have you made of pre-season so far? I mean, some people say it's only pre-season, don't panic, you know, it's all about the season. But at the same time, it is the preparation for the start of the season. What have you made?
You used to be a footballer yourself, so you probably be able to answer that question better than me, what you want out of a pre-season. I would say a pre-season is all about getting ready for the season. I get that. But you want to be doing well in pre-season to take confidence into the season. So like your forwards need to be scoring goals, your midfielders need to be creating, and your defenders need to be not conceding. And also it's the time for possibly trying out new patterns of play. Manager sort of like tactically sort of looking at how he can flexibly set the team up during the season. So all those sort of things come into a pre-season. But ultimately, you don't want to have a pre-season where you're losing every game. And I question, you know, the fact that we've been hit by the party injury. To play two high-profile pre-season friendlies, albeit for charity, was always going to be a risk. And unless teams went into those playing them as friendlies and not being ultra competitive, and that Chelsea game, they targeted Tierney, Partey, in particular, our best players on the day, and injured one of them. So what have we got out of pre-season? We've lost a player who was really crucial to us this season. Yeah. And so in anything, what have we got out of pre-season? We're now trying to sort of like find a solution for Partey in the first few games, because that's a massive loss going into the season. Yeah. And I've even seen it on Twitter, and I agree with it in a way, that injury could even potentially cost Arteta his job, because Partey is so influential. He's like the heartbeat of that midfield, and who he wanted to build that midfield around this season. Albeit he's got Lingaard coming in, who's looked really good pre-season. He can play 6, he can play 8, Lingaard. He could play in that role that Partey was playing, I think, but he doesn't do it as well as Partey. Partey was very dominant in the games that I watched pre-season. Through balls to our wide forwards in particular, and to lose him, he's a guy who can sort of like get the ball back up high and get our forwards in. You know, because I think our forwards switch on in open play, in broken play. You know, and I think that I've watched us a lot pre-season, the way we sort of like play a possession-based style. Yeah, but I think to get the best out of our forwards, I think you've got to get someone to win the ball back higher up and get people in quickly in transitions. And that's Aubameyang's strength, if anything. And that's why he's been suffering, I think, because not only because he's out wide, but I just don't think that we play a style of football that gets the best out of Aubameyang.
I mean, you talk about Aubameyang there, man. 2.5 years, was probably our best player, carried us on his back. I'm watching him now. He just looks a shadow of the guy that he was before. I see him playing on the left, but when he did well on the left, we played 3-4-3. He had the wing back and the left centre back to cover him. In this 4-2-3-1, you have a lot of defensive responsibility to help your left back. Do you look at it as play him up front or don't play him at all? What's your opinion of it?
Yeah, I think he should play centre forward or not played at all. I think it was no coincidence last season that our best results came after Christmas when he switched Aubameyang to centre forward. He either played one of Lacazette or Aubameyang at centre forward. So if you want like a possession-based style with build-up, you play Lacazette, someone who can come deep, hold the ball up, bring players into play. If you want to play a faster sort of game, either counter-attack, which is what we did when we played that 4-3-4-3 with Aubameyang wide left. The reason why I don't think we play it now is he wanted to switch to the 4 from the 3, but teams have rumbled what Aubameyang does now on that left-hand side on the counter-attack where he comes in on his right foot. So I think that teams are aware of that more than they were when we first played. But in terms of sort of like... I think last season, if you look back to last season, up to Christmas, he played like a front three of Willian, Lacazette, and Aubameyang. It just did not. I know he had a lot of number sixes in midfield. You know, sort of like they're all very similar players. Number sixes, sort of like they were safety players, safe players. They weren't people to progress the ball forward. And both our forwards need someone in that number 10 position. He switched to that, but Aubameyang's got to play central with me, off the shoulder. And I know at Dortmund he played wide left for a while. But he had really pacey players around him to create space for him when he played for Dortmund. And I just think the way Arteta plays, this comes from Guardiola, doesn't it? Possession based. It's very slow and build up. Teams get back in their shape. He has to stretch the pitch out wide left. So you're not getting the best out of him because him and Lacazette, to get the best out of them, you've got to play them as a 2. The only way to play them as a 2 to get them closer together, because there's such a gap between them. We always talk about centre halves having to play close together to defend well together. If you're going to play Lacazette and Aubameyang and you want to get them goals out of them, you've got to play them close together in a 2. So you either play a diamond 4 with them down, or you play a back 3 and maybe a 3-5-2. You know, so because modern football is not about playing 2 forwards, and if you play 2 forwards, you're going to have to sort of like put defensive blocks in your team, because most teams only play 1 forward now because you need more players in midfield. But we've got 2 forwards there. If you want to play them together in a 2, the only way I can see is a 4-4-2 or a back 3 and 5. That gets them together. But playing Aubameyang out wide left is just not getting the best of him. He's not a winger. He's either having to. And the other thing about it, I was thinking the other day about this. He has to. You know, Arteta plays 5 lanes at the top. He plays like a 3-2-5. So he has like 3, tries to squeeze the pitch. To try and they are playing a high line this year. He tries to squeeze the pitch with 3 players at the back. He has his 2 midfield players pushing up. Then he has like 5 lanes. So his 5 lanes might be Pepe, Smith Rowe, Lacazette, Aubameyang, and Tierney. There'll be his front 5, his 5 lanes. But Aubameyang is predominantly out wide left. So, and Tierney's coming up in that space that sort of like crowds that area. So, and we can't play through that block with players close together. And the ball ultimately ends up going out wide to Tierney for a cross. Yeah. So, the only way really to get the strength out of Aubameyang is to play him centre forward and try and get him one-on-one with a defender. And he needs the ball played in quickly into space for him to run onto. We've discussed this before, but in this possession-based, our slow style build-up, teams get back in shape, and he's just sort of like they're just blocking his lanes, aren't they?
Do you think, Graham, do you think there's been a decline in Aubameyang's game, or do you think he's suffering because of the system and the fact he's playing out on the left?
I don't know if it's been a decline in his game. Obviously, players, when they go past 30, some decline quicker than others. It's very hard to judge. When he first came to Arsenal, obviously he was new to the Premier League, so he's new to teams who played against him. And he carried us. he's a victim of the fact he was so successful for 2 years. So immediately he stopped scoring, you're going to see the drop off. But it has been a big drop off. I think it's a combination of all those things, probably a combination of the fact that he's gone past 30, the way Arteta plays, and as you said earlier when you were talking about him, when we used to play that 3-4-3, that suited him down to the ground because he didn't have to track back. We had players in defensive roles doing that part of the game for him, and he could just concentrate on doing what he does best. But we were switching the play, getting him in quickly into goal scoring positions where he could come onto his right foot or he could run onto through balls. So, but now the way we play is just not getting the best out of him when you're playing in wide left. As you say, the only way to play in wide left is in a counter-attacking style, I think, with a back three. But I think it's a combination of all those things, really. The way we play, the fact he's getting older, and I forget the other point you made, but I think the way to get the best out of him, Emery got the best out of him and Lacazette in one season, 2018-19, that was their best season. And he played them in a two, but he played them together as a two, and he basically sort of built the team up with protection behind them.
Yeah, with Torreira and them guys. I mean, just a bit of news that people are sharing now that, I mean, I don't know if there's much to this, but TalkSport are saying Tammy Abraham has accepted personal terms with Arsenal and they're talking to Chelsea about a possible loan. He was set to join Roma, but apparently Arsenal have jumped in at the last minute with an offer. I mean, I've made it quite clear on my streams before, I don't think Tammy Abraham is an upgrade on what we've got. But what's your thoughts on Abraham?
I agree with you. I think that I've got a friend who I work with who's a Chelsea supporter. He doesn't rate Tammy Abraham. So the thing about him is, if you're going to replace Lacazette in that position, you need somebody who's better than Lacazette. I don't think Abraham is better than Lacazette. I know he's younger. I think for someone of his height, he's not great in the air. Misses a lot of headers. I think that I'm not saying his touch is not decent, but I've never looked at him and thought there's a player that I think would take us to the next level. And I know Tuchel's gone out and bought Lukaku, but Tuchel didn't rate Aubameyang. From my friend who's a Chelsea fan, got connections at the club. Tuchel never rated Abraham. So and that tells you everything. To me, he's a good player, not better than what we got. The only thing I would say is in his defence, that he would offer the team something different. And that could be the thinking there, because often the way we play, if we're going to sort of play the way Arteta plays, continually not playing through the centre of the pitch, because we haven't got players good enough at the moment to play through the centre of the pitch, and he wants to funnel it out wide and then get Tierney or Bellerin up for crosses, then he needs someone in the box who can maybe be a presence, and that's one thing Abraham is.
Yeah, I mean, I think the key thing is, like you said, man, this Tammy, for a guy who I believe he's 6'4", 6'5", he's not
great in the air, Curtis, is he?
He's not great in the air. Like, I mean, Giroud was a great guy in the air if you got crosses into him. He's very good at that. But Tammy,
and I think the thing is that Arteta played at Arsenal in a team where you had Giroud and a number 10, didn't he? So he might be sort of seeing. Do you know what? When I played at Arsenal, we had Giroud holding the ball up, who was good in the air, or a presence that we could hit with crosses. And even if he's not good in the air, Abraham, he will cause chaos in defences. You know, so and we don't. The one thing we don't have, we don't get enough players in the pit, in the box. And we haven't got someone in the box who we can cross it in, who can potentially sort of like score from across. So I think that's the thinking. And I think that we do need a plan B, and we do need to sort of like have something extra to our attacks, and that I think that's his thinking. He offers us something different.
Yeah, I mean, different, definitely, but any better? And like, you know, if Lacazette goes, I can't see Arsenal getting more than 15 or 20 million, and then we're going to go and spend 40 million on Tammy Abraham. I mean,
the only thing is, Curtis, we've got to get rid of one Aubameyang and Lacazette in the next year. They're both I mean, Lacazette's in the last year of his deal, and I think they want to get rid of him, but the wages are the problem. He's on 180k a week, isn't it?
Yeah,
Wages are the problem, and you've got two. You could argue that now they were our prized assets 2 or 3 years ago when they first came together, Aubameyang and Lacazette. But there's an argument now that they're holding the team back in the fact that we're paying so much money for two players now over 30, and we can't carry. We've got to start thinking about how we move one of them on because Aubameyang's got the big deal and he's there for longer. So I can see where he's thinking. The problem we've got is with Lacazette, we're almost like going to have to give him away, and that's what really worries me.
I think the issue with Aubameyang now, I mean, I think his basic wage is about 250 plus bonuses 300. He's 32 years of age. He's out of form. Nobody is going to buy him with 2 years left on his deal. He's probably going to see out that contract at Arsenal, to be honest. So it's difficult.
Yeah, I agree, but I think that the team's moving away from Aubameyang the way we play. If he's not going to play him down the middle, which he doesn't seem to want to, the way that he plays football, Arteta, he wants somebody of Abraham's qualities in what he does offer to the team, and that's hold up play, a strong physical presence, a tall guy, someone who brings players into play, and I think Aubameyang can't do that. And if he's going to play the style that he's playing, Arteta, Aubameyang can't play that style, can he? Down the middle. I know we played him there at times during the season. I watched last season when he had Odegaard playing in the side. Him and Aubameyang clicked. I think he was better with Odegaard feeding in balls in. Aubameyang needs a genuine number 10. Smith Rowe is a number 10, but he's not what I call a classical number 10.
Yeah, he's not creative.
Odegaard is. I mean, I watched Smith Rowe and Laka were brilliant last year in their combination play. I think Laka likes Smith Rowe, and I think Aubameyang plays better with a genuine number 10, but in a style of play where we're quickly winning the ball up high, feeding a number 10 who can create for him. But we don't play that way, and that's why I think the team's evolving away from Aubameyang. Aubameyang's getting older. I think this is a clear sign of the fact that Arteta's going for Abraham, the direction he wants to take the team in the way we attack. He's always had to have that. He's had that decision to make. Do we continue playing a possession-based build-up, or do we move to a more sort of attacking style and broken play? But I think ultimately he sees a target man as part of that.
Legends of Renegade, big up for the super chat, said, do you guys think we could play Martinelli and Pepe as a front two? Both good in the air and decent pace and link up. I mean, what do you think, Graham? I'm not sure about Pepe up front, but you never know.
I think Martinelli, when we played him at centre forward last year, albeit not very often, I didn't see him sort of like, he didn't grab me as that's his position. I liked him more wide left because he offers the work rate back. He's a bit of a tiger, isn't he? The way he sort of like
he is.
The way he works so hard, he presses so hard from the front. He's everything that you want in that position, and also he can score goals from that position. Pepe is someone I've always argued could play as a second forward, but not as a main forward. So I don't think either Pepe or Martinelli can play as a main forward. I think the ideal fit for Arteta, ironically enough, is the guy that Tottenham and Arsenal have been linked to, and that's Martinelli. Because the reason why is because he presses so hard, he can press from the front, and he's got pace, and he can run with the ball, run past players. He can play either. I know he's not an out-and-out number 9, and he's more a foil for Lukaku. He's even a foil for Messi in the Argentinian team. Yeah. But I think he's almost like, in my eyes, a combination of Lacazette and Aubameyang combined, and I think he'd be perfect for Arsenal. But I just. He's staying at Inter Milan.
He's staying. The crazy thing is, Graham, I think a week or two ago, Inter were having financial difficulty.
Yeah.
It was maybe a slight window of opportunity to go and get him because they were saying, Lukaku is untransferable, but they've shown if you put the money on the table. But Arsenal, again, so slow in negotiations, and now they've missed out on that opportunity.
Yeah, the problem Arsenal have always got in negotiations is they haven't got the money up front, because we're not like Chelsea. Now, to be fair to Chelsea, if they sell Abrahams for 40 and they've sold 3 or 4 other players like Tomori pre-season, they've almost like raked back in somewhere in the region of 70 million. So they could argue they've funded the Lukaku deal. But the one thing Chelsea and Man City have got, these top clubs, is that they can just go in and they don't have to worry a lot of the time about sort of like haggling over structured payments and can we do this, can we do that. Arsenal always, because we haven't got the money that these big clubs have got, we can't do that. So that's always a problem for Arsenal. But you've got to remember is that Arsenal now operate in a different market to these top clubs. We are the 8th best team in the Premier League, and now we've not even got European football. So we've got no bargaining power in a way. When we go in to try and buy a player, we can't the days are long gone where you can come to Arsenal, play in the Champions League, you can play with Bergkamp or you can play with Sanchez or Ozil. Those days are over. So, and we are not in the same market. And what I mean by that is that Chelsea, Man City, because of the fact that one's won the Champions League, because one's got Pep and they just won the Premier League, they're both in the Champions League, they're in the market for the top players. They've earned the right to be in the market for the top players. Yeah. Arsenal now have stagnated, fallen down to where we are, and that's for years of bad recruitment, underinvestment, and all the things that we've done wrong in the way that we've given out silly contracts, put all our high wages on players who are not worth those wages, put ourselves in a position now where the team's got worse. We're out of the big European competition. So we're not in the market for a Lukaku, even if we had the money. Yeah. If we had 100 million, Curtis, we couldn't go and say, Romelu Lukaku, do you want to come and play in Arsenal in the Premier League this season? Immediately Chelsea come in and say, do you want to play for us in the Champions League? And who's he going to pick? Yeah. So, and the thing is, so when we go into these deals to buy players, we're always going in slightly on the back foot without having the real power to offer these players what they want, the top players.
Yeah. You was mentioning there just before about creative number 10, Smith Rowe not being the most creative. We're being linked with 2 number 10s today, both a little bit controversial. One of them is Jesse Lingaard from Manchester United. And the other one, which I'm not surprised about at all, is Philip Coutinho, who, of course, Kia Joorabchian is his agent, Edu and him. He seems to be in his back pocket. I mean, they're saying 25 million for Coutinho, 20 million for Jesse Lingaard. Would you have any of those two at Arsenal?
No.
No?
No.
Give me a reason. Give me reasons why you wouldn't.
I think Coutinho, it's a bit like Coutinho was a 150 million pound player a few years ago, and now he's being linked for 20 million. I know it's partly because the La Liga hasn't got any money anymore, and Barcelona is struggling to sort of like pay the wages of their players, as we saw with the Messi thing last week. So, what a fall from grace for Coutinho that he's now valued from what he was to what he is now. But the argument against it is we're getting the player that now is the 20 million player, not the player, the 140 million pound player. I'm not saying he's ever worth 140 million, but the thing is, we always seem to be linked with these good players when they're past their best or they've had their best years. Yeah. So it's almost like you've seen it in the past when we bring people in like Louise, Czech, from Chelsea, for example. I'm just trying to think of other players off the top of my head. I can't think. Even when we got Sylvester, he was a good defender at Man United. He was way past his best when he came to Arsenal. Gallus, for example, another one. Yeah. So we get players who we think of the players what they were at their peak, not what they are now. And I think Coutinho is not the player he was. Also, I don't think he offers us. He's another one who's basically good on the ball but not good off the ball. So that's another sort of thing against it. In terms of Lingaard, I thought the Lingaard thing was we were being linked with Maddison, and Leicester were lining up Lingaard as a potential. Yeah. Maddison went to Arsenal, so we've fallen from Maddison to Lingaard, which in my eyes is a bit of a downward step. But I don't see Lingaard as a creative number 10 we need. He's almost like a wide forward, almost like to me. So I don't think he would answer our problems either. To answer that, those 2 players would not suit what we really need. The players we need are in that position. I think one of Maddison, Odegaard, or Aouar. They're the type of players I think that I would like to see come in. Obviously, Aouar is the cheaper option. We were interested in him last year. Once again, We seem to be linked with him forever. We seem to be talking to him. The deal never happened. That it was too expensive for Arsenal. That deal's a lot cheaper this year now if they want to try and resurrect it.
Yeah.
Odegaard, who we know very well, I think still had good moments in the Arsenal shirt last year. He would be slightly cheaper deal. But the player I want is Maddison. And the reason why I want Maddison is two reasons. One is I think he's young. And secondly, I think football now, set plays are such an important part of football.
I agree.
That's free kicks, corners. We're not very good at set plays. We haven't got someone like a Mesut Ozil now who can drop a ball on a six-foot.
Yeah.
So I think Maddison will be a massive upgrade in creativity, not only in the terms he plays in the number 10 role, but in the terms of what he offers from set plays, corners and free kicks. And he scores goals as well. We need players in this team who are going to score goals.
And just in terms of someone you mentioned it, obviously, in my opinion, Lingaard, I wouldn't want him. He's 28. I don't think he's very creative. He's a bit similar to Smith Rowe. He's a dribbler, got a shot. Yeah. With Coutinho, I think, sometimes you think about Coutinho in the past. 2-3 years ago, he was an unbelievable player. Would he have the hunger? He's 29. He's on big wages. I mean, look, he's probably still got the talent, but it's not a good deal for Arsenal really moving forward. Just in terms of Martin Odegaard, or Odegaard, however you pronounce it, does he have enough of a goal threat in that number 10 role? Because for me, I really want to see a number 10 that can score goals and take the pressure off the strikers. What's your feelings on Odegaard?
No, I agree with you. I don't think he gets enough goals. I think he's capable of scoring more. But I just don't think I saw, from what I saw last year, he's what that player we need that you talked about. But I'd still take him for his creativity. So Maddison for me is the ideal person. He scores goals from free kicks. He's got a shot on him from outside the box, and he's creative. He's for me the modern day number 10. Now, the argument against Maddison coming is purely simple, and this is where what we've become as a football club, although we've fallen. Leicester now are above us. They're in Europe this year, we're not. And he's just won the FA Cup and they won the Community Shield pre-season. So, again, when Arsenal come knocking, they always say it's a different knock when Arsenal come knocking. But that knock is not getting so loud anymore, is it?
It's not.
Because and I think, and journalists are quite right to argue, as Roy Keane said on the weekend on Sky, it's a downward step. And the only thing you could say is, could he be like the Bergkamp, who, I'm not saying he's anywhere near the quality of Bergkamp, but someone who comes in and resurrects a giant that's fallen? And that would be the way we'd sell a challenge to him. The fact that he play in a big stadium, the fact we're based in London, the fact we are a big name. We are a big name a big club in name only now, more than what we do on the pitch. So that's where we got to, where we try and sell Arsenal to players wanting to come in now. But for me, Maddison over Odegaard, for the simple reason he does things that Odegaard doesn't do, and that is score goals. Score goals,
yeah. Just read out this. And Jashar, I saw your super chat as well, bro. Anne said, Curtis, did you buy the shirt to help raise funds for Maddison? And Graham, how long do you think Arteta will last this season before he's handed his P45?
Well,
let me just answer quick.
Can I answer that for you? I'll answer the guy in the super chat. But what you got to understand is Arsenal have already got the money for that kit. So they do a deal. It's a bit like me. I said that I would never buy an Arsenal shirt again until we won the title. So my last shirt I bought was 2004. Again. So I've given up on that now because they're not probably, I hate to say it, not probably going to win the title again in my lifetime the way it's looking. So I'm probably going to go out and buy a shirt this year. And I do like the one you've got. But people say, are you raising money for Arsenal to buy Maddison? The club have already done the deal with the sponsors, got the money for those shirts. So Kroenke's already banked the money. So in answer to the second question, I think Arteta will be gone? I said earlier that he's under enormous pressure this year. Two reasons. He's got fans back in the stadium. He's had 2 8th place finishes. And I think with Partey now injured, that is a massive blow. I know we had a hard start, Brentford away and Man City and Chelsea. But it's become even harder now. And I think that if he starts badly, and those first 2 to 10 games aren't easy,
Yeah.
There'll be enormous pressure on him. And I think if we don't sort of like start pushing towards that top four, I think minimum requirement this year is. I did a show on Aftv yesterday with
Great.
James.
Yeah.
Check it out if you can, because I thought it was a really good show.
Yeah.
But I said his minimum requirement this year is 5th place. He has to get us back into Europe, and I think the top four now so far ahead of us. There's no, we can't expect to challenge the top four. But he's got to lift us from 8 back into Europe as minimum requirement, and I think to be knocking on the door of top four. And if by Christmas things are carrying on, and I see nothing changing at Arsenal at the moment, nothing's changing from last season. And I know we had a pretty good second half of last season, but we knew that team overall was an 8th place team last year, and there had to be changes in personnel. They said they would be ruthless in the transfer market. They haven't been so far. I don't see Arteta improving the team at the moment.
No.
We are playing this high line now that worries me a bit. He is hampered by the fact that Gabriel would be his first choice centre half partnership with White. Gabriel's out injured. That's a bad blow at the start of the season. You've got your best 2 centre halves. He's now further hampered by the Partey injury. It's a massive blow. And then he's got the situation with Saka, obviously coming back, hasn't got enough minutes under his belt. But I make no bones about it. I said so yesterday. I think on the evidence of what I saw, I put Saka straight back in the team at Brentford on Friday.
So just alluding to that then. So, because for me, I would go Pepe, Saka, Smith Rowe, Aubameyang as the front four, Lokonga and Xhaka in the middle. What would you go with? Martinelli's only just come back.
I would just make one change to what and I agree with you on that. I would just I would play Lacazette instead of Aubameyang. Hard call, isn't it? He's the club captain, but he's been playing out wide left all pre-season. So I think he played one game down the middle against Watford from what I saw, from the games I saw. And he hasn't scored pre-season. Lacazette's been excellent pre-season. So I would say if you're picking on form, who's looked best, Lacazette has earned his place over Aubameyang. So, and I think you pick one of them. And I'm just going on form at the moment. Aubameyang is always likely to get you more a goal than Lacazette, in my opinion, if it's the Aubameyang who we know to be the real Aubameyang. The problem you've got is Aubameyang is out of form, out of confidence, out of position. So if you move him back centre forward, is it going to work? It could well do on the night. I've watched Brentford quite a lot, and I do think the way they play Brentford, they play a back three, they play 4 in midfield with 1 between the lines and 2 up top. They'll play Tony and Mbeumo off Tony up top. And they'll play Onyeka or Baptiste, I think, between the lines, and they press really high, Curtis. They press high. So what they do is they press high. So and they wing backs push up. The midfielders lead the press, and the wing backs push up. So I think if we've got the quality to play around that press, I think we can create openings, the gaps between the midfield and the attack. Because I think the right-sided wing back Canos, he's Spanish player. He's more of a winger than a right back. And they've got this new guy coming in. He's a right tall guy, 6'5". They bought him from Celtic. But I've seen him. Yeah, he's a tall guy, very composed on the ball. And on Saturday, he was even overlapping out wide on the right when the wing back tucked in. So, but I think there's a lack of understanding at the moment on the right side, and I think that's an area we could exploit. So you could almost argue in a way this could be Aubameyang's chance.
That's what I'm thinking. The crazy thing is, I think he will play Aubameyang on the left because Saka looked quite rusty against Tottenham. I don't think he'll start.
I agree with you. He's going to play Aubameyang, Lacazette, and Pepe as a front three, and I think Aubameyang will play on the left. So Aubameyang will have, I think, an opportunity there to sort of get into situations being. Particularly, I know they defend with a back five, Brentford. They will defend with a back five. But when they go forward, they do go forward and press high. So that's when, if we play counter-attack or look to break the ball up high and get Aubameyang in, I think he'll have yards to run into. So it could work in this game, but I just don't see it as the long-term solution. And I don't think it certainly will work against Man City and Chelsea.
Big up Josh Shaw. He said, I heard that Pepe is low on assists. I mean, I did see he only got 1 assist in the Premier League last season, which surprised me when I saw that. But What do you make of Pepe? I did a watch along for the game against Tottenham, and what frustrates me with Pepe, he isolates fullbacks a lot of the time. And because of the qualities he's got, I'm like, go and attack the fullback, make life difficult. He shows you bits of quality, you think that's why we signed him. But I see a sincere lack of aggression in his game. He's almost going through the motions. Like, what do you think about Pepe?
I think he's got vast potential. I think he's a footballer who should be doing more than what he's doing. I agree with you. There is a lack of aggression. I think a lot of the time, the way he plays, I think he plays under instruction from Arteta.
Yeah, I would agree.
Arteta's big on detail, and I think you should allow Pepe to be instinctive, to just encourage him to go on and take on the fullback. That's what I want to see, and also to just see him do what he does naturally. And I just think he's, for some reason at Arsenal, whether it's the way we play, whether he's under instruction from Arteta, it's almost like he's just not let off the leash.
Yeah.
So, and I see the things in his play that you see. So I see there's a player in there for some reason who's restricted in the way that the team play. And as a result of that, sometimes when you're playing in a team that's struggling, there is a little bit of a lack of confidence. You don't want to lose the ball too much. You want to keep that, because Arteta's big on keeping possession. So I see him sometimes take the safe option. I mean, there were moments last season where I see we got him into the penalty box and he got shots away and he scored some goals. So there is potential there. It's just not being tapped into for whatever reason. And you're right, 100% right, Curtis. He needs to be more aggressive and just have more belief, because he's got the talent. But this is a big year for him. He's been here now for a couple of years. Forget the price tag. It's almost like just want to see him being the footballer which we think that he could be.
Yeah. No, I think you make some great points. And in his defence, Pepe still scored 10 Premier League goals despite not being a regular starter. I think when you play right wing or left wing, you need to build a partnership with your fullback. We're constantly changing the right back. He clearly plays better with Cedric than Hector Bellerin. So I definitely don't think Mikel Arteta has helped him. No,
I agree with that. I think the thing with Bellerin, I see Bellerin now as a player who just, he's not the Bellerin of 2015-16, which I think was his best year.
Yeah.
Obviously, the injury hasn't helped, but Bellerin's someone who I noticed drives up the pitch. And comes inverted. So he gets up the pitch, and a lot of the time then feeds the ball to Pepe. He doesn't overlap or combine with Pepe. He gets it up the pitch. So he's valuable in driving up the pitch and getting the ball to Pepe. That's what I see in Bellerin. I see Chambers being a fullback who I never saw or expected to see, I'd say, because he's the one now who whips in the more decent crosses from the right-hand side. But I do agree with you. The one who combines with him best is Cedric. But I think Cedric is not first choice at Arsenal. Arteta sees, I think you'll see on Friday night, Chambers will be back in the team on that right side.
You think so?
Yeah.
Because
I expect it'll be a back four of Chambers, White, Mari, and Tierney. That'd be the back four. I think that the reason why he plays that is for two reasons. One, Chambers can be inverted in build-up. He can flip into the two in midfield, because we predominantly play down the left-hand side. And also, he can be like a third centre-back. And the other thing is, on the occasions, if we are going to switch it every now and then, Chambers is the one who gallops forward and arrives to get crosses in. Bellerin's, and Chambers is more decent at getting crosses in, I have to say, which surprised me. Bellerin's crossing has just gone to pieces, isn't it? You very rarely see him delivering a good cross or the right ball into the box. So I don't think Bellerin's committed at the club anymore, to be honest, because I think he expects to be gone. I think Chambers will come back.
That's interesting. Let me just read these couple of super chats. Big up Shane. He said, yes, Pepe's on a leash. Remember when he first came, he was running at everyone. Mikel is hurting the team. And Buenos Aires Guna, big up bro, said to Graham, with only one player coming to the aid of Arteta with the Højbjerg incident, is that a sign that some of these players have given up on him? Being against our rivals, I expected a reaction. I'm sure you saw that, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. I wouldn't say it's the fact that the players are giving them up on Arteta. I think it's a sign that these players are not, how can I put it? They just haven't got that winners mentality in them. Now, if the old Arsenal, if that had been the 2003, 2004 team, if anyone went to Wenger, half the Arsenal team would have been over there to pull Holberg out of the way. They would have reacted to that and got round and protected him. There just doesn't seem to be it's almost like it's what the club's become. It's become too safe for these players. They don't seem to be having to fight for this fight. Their money's guaranteed. They're on high wages. They're comfortable, and they're not really bothered about it. I mean, it was sad to see, because I think, as you say, the Arsenal teams of the past, it wasn't a case that they don't sort of like they're not playing for the manager. It's more a case of, I just don't think they've got the that sort of like sense of determination, fight, and wanting to sort of the oomph that good players in teams need. It's not just all about technical ability and skill. You've got to have determination, and you've got to have that fierce streak in you, that sort of bloody mindedness, and you want to protect your teammates on the pitch and protect your manager. I don't think that's the case that they're not playing for him. I just think that the way they are as human beings, they're just too comfortable in the way they are. That's just
over 1,500 people watching. Make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. Big up to Graham for coming on. Graham, I want to ask you about the manager, Mikel Arteta.
You always ask me about the manager, don't you?
I have to, man, and you know what? I've been very calm about Arteta in pre-season, because I'm like, what? There's no point in me moaning about him at the moment. Let's see how the season starts. I have my feelings and reservations about him. What do you make of the style of football? Because I put a tweet out last week and I said, he's trying to play champagne football with Prosecco players. They're probably not even Prosecco players, to be fair, but it seems to me like he wants to play quite similar to Pep Guardiola, with the inverted fullbacks, possession-based, wants a ball-playing centre-back. But does he have to find a plan B? Because to me, when I watch this Arsenal team, Graham, at times I'm bored watching them. I don't think we're very entertaining. We're quite slow. We look like we're struggling to score goals. I mean, what do you make of the system and the style of play?
Yeah, I think when he came to Arsenal, we were conceding too many shots. So basically, what he did was he built a defensive structure. He built a team that stopped conceding shots. That's what the back end of the Emery reign, we were conceding like 30, 40 shots a game to teams like Watford. I remember that game when we drew to Watford early in the Premier League campaign a few years ago, when they had loads of shots, and that was happening regularly to teams, lesser teams. So that's what he wanted to address, but it came at the expense of the way we play offensively, I think.
Yeah.
And so and then you kept thinking, well, he's sorted out the defensive side of the fact we're more solid off the ball now. And I get the thing, when we play the top teams, you might want to play counter-attack away from home and be more solid. But this is almost like, this is the style now, isn't it? And I've watched Arsenal for 50 years. And basically, this is the style of football that I used to watch sometimes under George Graham when we had lesser players. And at times in the 70s, when the 71 double winning team broke up, and then we didn't have such a strong side. So the football was different then. So I can't really, that's not probably a fair comparison. So he's addressed the defensive side of the team, but he never really sort of like worked out the attacking identity of the team. And I think he has a decision to make. Does he want us to be a possession-based team, or a team that sort of like play high up and look to win the ball in transitions and get our forwards in broken play? That's what I always thought. We've got the forwards who switch on when I say switch on, we've got the forwards who I think sort of like thrive more when the ball is played into them quickly, to get them one-on-ones with people. They're not like you talked about Man City. They've got different quality of players who suit that system, and he, as you say, he hasn't got the players to play the way he wants to play. So I think the first thing he should do is he should look at the players he's got in this squad, and he should adapt to the qualities of the players that he has in the squad. And until you get the players in that can play the football you want to play, I think you've got to adapt to the players you've got. And there's no point playing a high line, for example, when you've got Pablo Mari as your centre half, who can't. He's got no pace and can't recover. Yeah. So I think that's his problem. He's identified a style of play he wants to play, but without the players to play it, and that's the problem. So, and then he's trying to sort of like always trying to fill in for the deficiencies in the team. So I think that for me, what he should be doing is adapting the style of play to the players he's got. I don't think he's going to do that. So I think ultimately what we're left with is a team that is going to be what it is. I don't see any change in Arsenal this year. It'll be the same possession. He likes possession-based football. As you say, he likes a ball-playing centre-back. And he wants to play football similar to Pep Guardiola, but without the Pep Guardiola players.
Yeah.
And consequently, it doesn't suit the players we've got. And that's, I think, when his reign ultimately comes to an end, you'll look back and say, what could he have done differently? That will be the criticism of him. Because he's not going to get the money that Pep Guardiola gets to change the team. He's not going to be able to bring in the type of players to play the play he wants to play. So I agree with you. I'm a little bit bored watching Arsenal at the moment, the way we play. It's very similar. We are dominant in possession. We get into advanced areas, but we never look like scoring, creating. And I can't remember many Arsenal teams that have been like that. And that's at his door, isn't it? And I think when fans go back into the stadiums this year, they're not going to tolerate that. They aren't.
No.
And particularly if the results are not bad. So in answer to your question, I think that's that. I see the same things with you. Where am I with the manager? I hate saying. I think he was the wrong choice in the first place. I've always said that.
Yeah.
But he was the cheaper option, wasn't he? He was and it was based on the fact that he was Pep's number two. If he was number two, if he wasn't working under Pep, he
Never
would have been considered, would he?
No, of course he wouldn't.
That's the problem we got. We can't go out and get the top managers because top managers want to be able to have their own budgets to be able to buy players, and Arsenal are never going to give managers that, and so he was the safe option. And I think that he's a good coach. I think he's got the Arsenal job too soon, and I think he's a little bit out of his depth. And I hate to say it because when he first came, I was a little bit excited the way the ideas he had, and I think he did make some good early signs. But he's got no more credit in the bank. The FA Cup wins long now forgotten. And 2 8th place finishes. I think this season will determine where we are with him. But I think the one thing he's got in his favour is the Cronkies seem to love him, don't they? So, but will the Cronkies still love him if fans are turning on him? Ultimately, that's what ended Arsene Wenger's reign, wasn't it? The fans started ultimately not going to the stadiums, and the moment they see that, that's when the manager's position becomes.
Change their mind. Let me just read out these super chats. Big up to Encore Sound, said Arteta doesn't understand the strength of the team. It's a fair point. Definitely doesn't use it. And Robbie said, we haven't had a leader in that team since Vieira. What I would do to see a young Vieira or Roy Keane in that squad, we have been a soft touch for years. Can't argue with that. Do you know what I just wanted to say to you there? I saw an interview that Jurgen Klopp did over pre-season, and he was saying how when he went to Liverpool, people were questioning some of his signings. I think he was talking about Wijnaldum and Robertson. People were saying, they've just been relegated. But he said, I need a particular player for my system. I saw a stat that Mikel Arteta signed 12 players on permanent transfers since he's come to the club. So surely if he had a philosophy and a system, you signed 12 players, we should start to see an identity now. He's in his 3rd season at the club. I don't really know what he's trying to achieve with this style and these players that he's buying.
Yeah, I agree. I think that the identity attacking wise is you just don't see it, do you?
No.
And I agree. There's a number. There's lots of excuses for Arteta. But some fans who are Arteta, who are fans of Arteta, they've always sort of found reason to justify him being manager and make excuses for him. But I think those days are rapidly coming to an end. So I agree with you. He's got the players. A lot of these signings are his signings, aren't they?
They are.
Based on what we can afford, not what he would probably want. So, but I agree with you. I look at the team and I don't see us moving forward at the moment. And I expected, on the back of the way we ended last season, albeit we did finish the season well, but we still finished 8th. It was obvious this team needed ripping up. And I know we've got a COVID pandemic that stops players going out, and he has struggled to offload players because they're on high wages. But I expected players coming in, and I expected, these next 3 weeks I think are crucial for Mikel Arteta, Curtis. He's got to get the players in that we need to because this team needs to change if we're going to move forward. And also it's crucial for him, because if he doesn't get the players in, and we have another season where we finish 8th or 9th, I just don't see we're going nowhere with him. And I think as much as the Cronkies want him, I think his position could become untenable by the end of the season if it's another season like it was last season.
Yeah, totally agree with you. Mr. Pad said, didn't he promise us a Champions League title after 4 years? I mean, maybe he'd had a bottle of wine when he said that. But no, for me, I think he'll be under pressure from the very start. And I think even though you wouldn't expect Arsenal to get either one of them, the fact that Zidane and Antonio Conte are out of work, people are going to point towards those and say, well, you got two amazing managers out of work here, and why are we plodding along with this guy?
But the only thing is those managers, the reason Conte left Inter Milan was purely and simply because the finances. And he was being told that you got no money next year and we're going to be selling players. That was it. He was off. Zidane potentially, again, working for Real Madrid, he works in a different environment to what a manager of Arsenal will work in, and he would have money, wouldn't he? So
big money.
They are good managers, elite managers. We've touched on this before. They're not going to come to Arsenal unless Arsenal change their whole philosophy in the way that we've got to rip up the blueprint and not be a club that is a self-sustaining model. And the Cronkies have got to seriously give a manager like that, or promise a manager like that, a budget that enables them to build the teams that they want to build. Because unless they get that, they're not going to come.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you on that. I just wanted to show you this. This was something regarding Kroenke, because you're talking about the owner. And this is a stat. I don't know if you can see this. It's Premier League financing since 2010. Let me zoom in on it, because it's I'm only going to show you up to Arsenal anyway. So this is the money that the owners of each football club have invested out of their own pocket since 2010.
Wow.
Arsenal down here near the bottom of the league, £15 million in 10 years. The Kroenkes have invested out of their own money. When you go to the top, Manchester City, 1.1 billion out of their own pocket, and 570 million for Chelsea. You know, you look at Chelsea are the Champions League winners, Man City are the Premier League winners. So money talks, don't it, in the Premier League now?
Yeah, unfortunately it does. Football has changed from the moment Sky come in and started putting money into football. And then that attracted the big owners as Premier League got to be a bigger product. And unless you've got an owner, we're still above Tottenham, though. That's the positive.
Well, we're level with Tottenham.
We can claim St Tottering's Day now in the owner state.
Yeah.
As crap as Kroenke is, he's still, but he's level with him. What did we get that on alphabetical order?
Yeah, I think so. Maybe.
So it's shocking, isn't it? Basically, you've got to feel for Newcastle, haven't you?
Oh man, Mike Ashley.
That tells you where you are, and that's unfortunately football now is if you have an owner who takes an interest in your club. We haven't got an owner who takes an interest in your club. The only thing you'd say in Chelsea and the Qatari and Man City owners, that at least they're there watching the games and have got an interest in the club. It's a bit like that, the Leicester City guy. Look how much it meant to him to win the Community Shield on Sunday. The love he's got for that club and his family. I mean, I'd love to have an owner like that. And the biggest, you have to say, the people that sold their shares to Kroenke will rue that if they're true Arsenal fans for the rest of their lives, because they have now, I'm not blaming them entirely for the way we are as a club now, but it's helped shape the way we are as a club. And if you haven't got an owner who's going to put money into your football club, and you're competing in a league where owners are putting massive monies into football clubs, particularly in COVID times now, I think you're basically doomed, aren't you? And that's it. But could you send me that stat? Could you send it to me?
Yeah. I'll send it to you on Twitter. Yeah.
Just send it to me, because that's something that I think is crazy. Yeah.
They're saying, don't give the money to Kroenke, people. It was a voucher. It was bought for me. Relax. And the kit looks nice. I'm not going to lie. But like I said, they was like, oh, who do you want to put on the back of the shirt? It's free. I said, I don't want to put none of these players. I'm not walking around with none of this current team on the back of my shirt. I'll probably get Ian Wright on the back.
Why don't you put your own name on the back?
I think I'm a bit old for that, man. You know what I mean? I used to do that when I was a kid, put my own
You're not
name
that
on.
old, are you?
Oh,
You wait till
old enough.
you wait till you get to my age when you're 60. That's. I mean, my wife says you're not going out wearing a football top, are you?
Yeah.
So you don't even get to put a name on the back of your shirt. You're not allowed to wear a football top when you get to my age.
Yeah. But yeah, 1.1 billion Manchester City, and we're here with 15 million. Like, it's just not going to add up, is it?
What's Chelsea there again?
Chelsea's is 570 million.
So they're about what, half?
Half of City, yeah.
And those two teams are going to be fighting out for the Premier League this year.
Yeah, of course, yeah. Liverpool done pretty well, 131 million, but you know, yeah, pretty damning stat on Arsenal. That. Do you know what, Graham? Obviously, you were saying about age there. You've watched football longer than I have. Is this for me is the first season in my entire life that I've watched Arsenal, and I have to admit I've got very little hope going into the season. I'm not even that enthusiastic about it. How do you feel going into this new season?
I think you only have to look at our odds to win the league. I think there's something like 66 to 1. I think it is. I can never remember Arsenal being 66 to 1 win the league. We're not going to win the league, but that tells you everything. No, I've got no expectation going into the season, and I think that we've been on a downward spiral for a long time. I mean, I've got Tottenham mates at work who banter me all the time now about we told you this was going to be happening. I point out to them every day that they haven't won a league title for haven't won a trophy for 4,900 days, and every week I up it by 7. So, but they are right. We're stagnated now to the point where we're almost like no longer relevant as a top club. So when you look at that going into the season, I've got no hope going into this season of us. I think in the past I've always thought we could, and I still think on our day we can do something like win a cup. So that's why the FA Cup and the League Cup almost like become now our priorities. I think almost to try and win a trophy, because the funny thing is it has sort of like papered over the cracks over the last few years. Even when we managed to win so many FA Cups in the last few years, you always come out of it thinking, oh, we've won another trophy, because football is all about winning trophies. So as poor as the team's been in the league, when you win an FA Cup or you win a trophy, you look back on it as almost like being a good year. I'd rather win a trophy every now and then than finish sort of like fourth or fifth. You obviously have to be in the top 4 to get in the Champions League. Is important for your club, but I would still take our last 10 years over Tottenham. I know they played a bit of Champions League football and they've had a better team than us over the last 10 years. But the fact we won 3 or 4 FA Cups, I look back and on days out at Wembley winning trophies or watching my team win cups, that's the most important thing for me. I just gutted that we no longer are relevant to be able to challenge for a title. But in terms of what you're saying, in the 50 years I've been watching Arsenal, we had a great team in the early 70s. Then we had a lull. Then it picked up back end of the 70s, early 80s for a couple of seasons. Then when Liam Brady left, the team was in decline again. George Graham resurrected it in the 86. Then we had a fantastic period until obviously he got outed for sort of like taking illegal money. I forget what it was. But towards the end of his reign, the team was starting to decline. And then Wenger come along and totally revolutionised the club. So I think the thing is, for all the people that criticised Wenger over the years, and he probably didn't stay too long, I think he should have gone, and we got one of those managers like Klopp when he was available.
Yeah, he was.
We would be in a better place. But for all the people that criticised Wenger, not only the beautiful football we played, we won league titles and cups. And now, unfortunately, the move to the stadium, which unfortunately for us, I think the move to the stadium coincided with football, money coming into football, Curtis, which means all these other clubs got revenues that we probably didn't expect, that enabled them to go out and buy players to compete with us. So, and then of course they start investing in better stadiums. So ultimately, it's led to where we are. But all along, it's Kroenke's club, isn't it? Kroenke's the one who bought into the club, and now he's sole owner of the club, and he's letting the club stagnate. He's not here to worried about whether we win trophies. And if you've got an owner like that, and you're in a league where it's ruthless, our league, where you've got other owners who are sort of like investing in their clubs, making sure that they're competing for the top prizes. It's no wonder we are where we are. But I've seen Arsenal low in my time watching Arsenal.
Yeah.
But I think, unfortunately, this is probably the lowest it's been for a long time. And I just see us sort of like now ticking over. I don't see us sort of like,
No.
I can't see how we're going to get back in that top four. The gap between us is getting bigger, if anything.
It's crazy you said that, because I said this on the show. A guy messaged me in the comments the other day. He said, I've been watching Arsenal for 50 years, and this is the most disconnected I've ever felt with a football club. I mean, do you feel a similar way, or?
Yeah, because I think that it comes from the top, doesn't it? So in the past, I always felt connected to Arsenal because when David Dean was there, his love for the club.
Yeah.
Even in the 70s, what Arsenal were as a club, what the classiness they were as a club. I still think that there's an element of that true to today. But when you've got owners taking it over who've got no real interest in the club, that leads to the disconnect. And it's a bit like any walk of life. So everything starts at the top, and if it's disconnected at the top down, that comes down to the manager, to the players, and then the fans eventually feel it. I mean, Arsenal's a great club, and unfortunately, it's not being run by people as a great club.
What do you make? I mean, sorry to add more doom and gloom to the Arsenal fans in the comments. Over 1,600 of you in here. Make sure you like and subscribe. But Granit Xhaka and Hector Bellerin, potentially new contracts. Two players that I think we all thought were going to be out the door this summer. I mean, what do you think Arsenal's thinking is behind extending their deals?
Well, I mean, first of all, on Granit Xhaka was leaving. Let's sort of like make that point. And Hector Bellerin wanted to leave. The problem is we can't get rid of them. No one wants them. So if no one wants them this year at the prices that we think they're worth, what's the point of giving them new deals? I just can't understand it. I mean, Granit Xhaka, we can't sell him at 29 for 20 million. They wanted to pay 12, was it, or 13 million, where it was. So we can't sell him, and then we bring him back. Just bring him back then, and just let him play out his contract and get rid of him in a year. Yeah. But why give him a pay rise? He's on 100k a week, so we've given him a pay rise to keep him at the club. In Arteta's words, or the words of the club, to protect his value. If anything, it does the reverse. It means that when we can't get rid of him now, he's going to stay to the end of that new contract, because in a year's time, on higher wages, if we can't sell him now, we're never going to sell him in a year's time, are we? So
100%.
Even if the COVID market improves, we're just not going to sell him. So we're stuck with him. And as much as Granit Xhaka is a good footballer, he's good in, I think, the Euros, playing for his country, because he's got time and space on the ball. Football at European level is played at a slower pace. At international level, I mean, is played at a slower pace. And that's what we saw in the Euros. That's why he was so good. You only have to look in the Premier League. It's faster. It's more frenetic. He's not got the mobility to deal with that. So he leads to him making errors that have cost us. And when he came into our football club, Wenger bought him. We were the second place club in the Premier League. We just finished second. Since he's been here, and since he's been here, we've finished 5th, 6th, 8th, 8th. So I'm not laying all that at Arteta's door. At Xhaka's door. Granit Xhaka has been part of the team that can't get into the top four. And I think we had the ideal chance with him being linked to Roma to move away from Granit Xhaka, to change our midfield dynamic to sort of like more. And I was thinking to myself, we could sort of like play Party even at the base, or play at the base, Party more forward next to someone like Maddison. And then have push Smith Rowe out wide, even if we wanted to, and we could be a more sort of like forward-thinking midfield with players who played more on the front foot, who could drive past people and open up space. Whereas Granit Xhaka, he's a good passer, but he's always the safe pass out wide, and the slow build-up. So this is a chance to change the whole dynamic of the Arsenal midfield, which would suit the way we could move forward and be more, change the way that we play. You say you find it boring watching the way we play. It's the way we build up. So if we had more dynamic midfielders, we could play a quicker pace sort of style, move the ball forward more quickly. And that's what I was looking for. And I thought, great, he's going. But they've re-signed him. Bellerin, as I said before, Bellerin's best days at the club are beyond him. He wants to leave anyway. They can't sell him, so just let him play out his contract and don't give him another deal. What's the point? It doesn't make any sense. This is so Arsenal, isn't it? So Arsenal. And this is why we're a badly run club. These players don't want to be at the club. We need to get rid of them as quickly as possible. That's what other clubs do, isn't it? They just sort of like get rid of them.
Would you have taken the hit on Xhaka, or do you think they were taking the mick? Would you have taken like 13 million and sold it?
I think they were taking the piss, to be honest. I thought the fact is he had a really good Euros, almost like pushed his value up from what they wanted to pay. Even if he was not worth what we wanted. I think he's a £20 million footballer, and where he was in his contract. So the fact that they only wanted to pay nearly just less than half, or just over half of that, I think was an insult. But what we should have done is just taken him back then, but not giving him a pay rise and a new contract. That is just stupidity. And that's why clubs like Chelsea and Man City, I know they've got the money, it's totally different, but they're more ruthless. If they can't get rid of a player, they just don't play him. And then he plays. There's good players at Chelsea who came in, didn't make a name at Chelsea, who sit basically in the reserves. As simple as that. And I know they've got more money than Arsenal, and the owner's more switched on and investing in the club, as your graphic showed. But we carry on playing players who have got us to 8th place in the Premier League. We're not going to improve, are we? And I think we need an upgrade on Granit Xhaka and Hector Bellerin.
Just in a more positive light, the 3 players that we've signed, Ben White, Nuno Tavares, and Sambi Lokonga, I think have all looked good in pre-season, especially Lokonga and Ben White, I think. What have you made of those 3?
I've been impressed by White and impressed by Lokonga. I think Ben White will offer us qualities in and out of possession, Curtis, that we don't have. We needed to replace Luiz's skills as a ball-playing centre-back, obviously. But the things about Ben White is he's got so many qualities that enhance our side. So, and I know he's not going to fix our team, but he's going to add quality to it in that area. He's tremendously calm and composed on the ball. That's the first thing I notice about him. He's got a tremendous pass on him. He can play the ball long. He can play the ball short. When you've got Holding and Chambers, those sort of players just play it sideways or safe. He can knock a 40-yard ball over the top. Only Harry Maguire played more forward passes of centre-halves last year into the opposition half than him at centre-half. So that's his quality, number 1. Number 2, he's brilliant at dribbling and carrying the ball out. He had the most dribbles and carry-ons of any centre-half in the Premier League last season, top in that stat. He's brilliant at intercepting. He's second to Bednarek at Southampton in interceptions. So he reads the game really well. He knows when to go tight. He knows when to sit off as a centre-half. He can play the high line. He can recover quickly. On interceptions, here's a stat for you.
Go on.
He had 62 interceptions last year for Brighton, right? The Arsenal centre-halves, I think our best was 26, was Holding, I think. The next best was 24, which was Gabriel. I think Louise was 16 and Mari was 9. So he had double the interceptions of our best centre-half last season. So he's obviously very good at reading the game. And the other thing is he's very versatile. And that is he can play in a back 3, he can play in a back 4, he can play right-sided mid or DM. And the other thing is he can drive out of defence. And what that brings to the team is when he scans the situation, he makes the right choice. He can drive past players, take players out of the game, open up space for players in front of him. So when we talk about what you've seen in the way Arsenal build up, I'm hoping that he might be able to change that slightly. His early days, he's only just come into the team. But once he gets into the team and the players get used to him, maybe he could change the style of play, because if he sees a situation where he can drive forward, take players out of the game, the opposition players out of the game, he can create space for players that mean we can maybe get our forward players into positions where they can be effective. There's more space for them to work with, and we're not building up so slowly. So that's his quality. Lokonga, obviously captain of Anderlecht at a very young age. So the thing I like about him, he's always thinking forward. He's always scanning the pitch. He's not like Granit Xhaka just playing the safe square pass or anything like that. He's able to take the ball under pressure, even if he can take the ball in a half turn and fizz a ball out on either foot to either side. He's good in tight spaces. He's good on. He can play through the press.
Yeah,
he's got all the qualities, I think, of a number 6, and I think he can play further forward as well. So he's looking a really good signing, and he's young, isn't he? So the Ben White and the Lokonga signings look really good.
Yeah. Do you what did you think about the price for Ben White? 50 million.
It's obviously not. I don't think he's a £50 million player.
Yeah,
but you're paying for the fact that he's English, aren't you? So and that's the problem. When comparing against Varane, who went for what, 40 million.
Yeah,
and he's won everything in the game, and I know he's older, but he's played at Real Madrid, won everything in the game. He's a top quality defender, and White cost more than him. But I don't think, but it's crazy money, and the only thing is, I think that's not the area of the team that was priority to fix, but it needed fixing. But that's a lot of money we've paid. But I think we have got a quality centre back.
Just between now and the end of the transfer window, obviously we got 3 weeks left. I think the pressure's on Edu now, and
he's on holiday. He's on holiday.
Well, he's on the jet skis, I think. In Algarve. Mikel Arteta seemed a little bit downbeat after the Tottenham game in his press conference. He was almost as if he was saying, we might not get everything we need. I mean, what would you like to see come in between now and the end of the window?
A new 11.
A new 11, yeah. And a manager, I wouldn't mind.
No, I'm joking. The priority for me are obviously a backup goalkeeper. I mean, the Martinez decision looks crazy by the day. We made the wrong choice there, didn't we? So, but we do need a backup goalkeeper. I don't know if Ramsdale's the man. I certainly, well, as a number 2 maybe, but not at the money they want. So we need a backup goalkeeper, a new right back. I would have said we need obviously a creative number 10, an offensive midfield player. I think we also needed another midfield player, but Xhaka coming back, I think, might mean that they decide not to go in that direction. I wanted Basuma all along. Basuma's the player I wanted. I think he would be brilliant alongside Partey. But with Xhaka coming back, I don't think that's going to happen. So, and possibly a striker as well. So the positions are backup goalkeeper, right back, attacking midfielder, and a striker.
How about a striker? So you would like to? So would you sell Lacazette now then?
Yes. I think I come on before when you had me on before and said I said I would sell Lacazette, but for the simple reason that where he is in his deal and his age, he's never going to be a 20+ goal scorer. So, and I think we've got the problem of 2 centre forwards getting older together, 30 odd. We might as well get rid of one of them and get a younger player in. So that's why I would sell him. The problem you've got with Lacazette, as I said at the start, is he's on such high wages, 180k a week. No one can afford to pay it.
Very difficult to move him on. Torreira, apparently he's back in training at the end of this week. He's in quarantine.
They can't get rid of him, can they? They can't get rid of him. Do you know what? I would rather. This is where I think Arteta's missed the trick. I've always rated Lucas Torreira. I think we messed him up by moving him from the position which was his strength, which was like a number 6. Emery moved him up almost like to be a ball winner up high, didn't he? Almost like in that number 10 position, but to try and press and win the ball back. And he was never the same player again. So, but who would I have out of Torreira and El Neni? It's a no-brainer for me. Torreira. Yeah. And I would bring Torreira back, and I would have him competing for the number 6 role, against the likes of Xhaka. But I think this team has got too many number 6s, Curtis, and that's what. So whether we bring him back or not, maybe another loan. But if we can get someone to take him, but we've got a lot of number 6s when you think about it. We've got Lokonga, we've got El Neni, we've got Xhaka, even Partey, technically a number 6, although he's more box to box, I agree, and he can play up higher. We haven't got what I would call enough creative midfielders, and that's why that's the pressing need for me. You said to me, we need a backup goalkeeper. It's obvious because if Melo gets injured, we're really in trouble. But if you'd say to me one big signing, who's it going to be? It's got to be a number 10. It's got to be an attacking midfielder That's where, because you watch the game at the weekend against Tottenham. You watched apart from the games behind closed doors when we were playing lesser opposition, we've struggled to create. We have all the football. We're quite dominant in owning the football, but we get it up to the front end of the pitch, and we struggle to create. And there's another reason for that. But if we had an attacking midfielder, someone like a Maddison, like even an Awar or an Odegaard, somebody who basically can sort of see openings and slide balls in, that would improve the team. So I think that's the priority: an attacking midfield player.
If we don't get a number 10, let's say we can't get Maddison or Odegaard, would you consider going with a 3-man midfield rather than playing a number 10 like sort of Liverpool did when Klopp came in?
Well, he tried that last year, didn't he? He tried the 3-man midfield. He tried the 3-man midfield with Xhaka, Ceballos and Partey. He tried that as a 3-man midfield, and it didn't work. It's all right going with a 3-man midfield as long as you've got the 3 men in the midfield that make it work, like what Man City have, because they have a DM sitting at the base of it, and then they have 2 attacking midfielders ahead of it who look to feed in their wide players. So the problem you've got is you have 3 defensive midfielders in a 3, and I know Liverpool play 3 hard-working midfielders, but they've got a different dynamic up front. The way they've got 3 attacking forwards, one of them who comes short in Firmino, and then you've got Salah and Mane who've got such pace to burn, who can play almost like forwards or off that, almost like inside forwards. So I wouldn't have I'd play a 3-man midfield if we got the right 3 men to play it, but unless you buy somebody who's going to be like a Maddison, who's going to offer us something in forward areas. I think Smith Rowe and Maddison would be a good combination in that, because Smith Rowe could play at 8 but drift out wide maybe. And Maddison could then play as an 8 but come 10 in a system like that. And then you need someone sitting at the base. And I think Partey could do that as much as he's a box-to-box. Or we play Lingaard at 6 and move Partey further forward in a 3. But he needs to play next to a creative midfielder. And that would need to be someone like a Maddison.
Big got Andy Arsenal with the super chat. He said, just let Lacazette go. He works hard on the pitch, but does he work hard off the pitch to improve his skills? So many missed kicks and bad passes. That's a bit harsh. Technically, he's pretty good. I just don't think he scores enough goals.
I think he works hard for the team on the pitch. And the only thing I'll say about Lacazette, he does get it when he's on the pitch. He's totally committed. You talked about players who should have rushed in when Arteta got challenged. I expected him to be in there because he is, when he's on the pitch, he is all action in terms of all commitment, in the way he gives to the team. I think it's a bit harsh, but the guy is right. I've seen him miss kick quite a few occasions, but I think sometimes you look at what Lacazette has to do in the team. He basically has to come really deep sometimes and then drive into the box, and try and drive in the box. And that's difficult sometimes, I know Harry Kane's really good at it in terms of he comes back and defends and he's always in the box. But Harry Kane is obviously, I think, a level above Lacazette. Hate to say it, but I think that. But coming back to it, I think the time to sell Lacazette is now.
No, I agree with that. Just a couple of quick things before I let you get out of here. There's some news about Martin Odegaard apparently coming out of Madrid. Apparently, he's told Ancelotti wants to leave. I've always got the impression that this is the number 10 that Arteta wants the most, whether you agree with that or not. But I think they're waiting to the end of the window to probably get him at the last minute.
The reason being that he would be cheaper than Maddison. So, that's as Arsenal, it always comes down to
money,
not whether he's the best player, but who's the best deal. And that's why we're never going to be challenging the likes of Man City and Chelsea. Chelsea didn't settle for. They wanted Lukaku, and they've gone out and spent 90-odd million getting him. So, for me, I'd rather have Maddison than Odegaard. I mean, Odegaard. The advantages of bringing Odegaard back is he knows the club. He was here before. There were moments that he offered in games that were good. But the negatives are that he's not a goal scorer, as you pointed out. And we need someone, I think, a goal scorer almost in that position. Because there's not enough goals in this team at times. the other advantage, of course, is he worked well with Smith Rowe, didn't he?
He did, yeah.
So maybe that, I'd rather have Odegaard than not have anyone in that, not be able to get anyone. But as I said, I think Maddison is the player I really would love to get. But I think Maddison is 60, 70 million and Odegaard is 35, 40. And if they want Tammy Abraham, so if they what it boils down to, if he's going to get Abraham, if these are going to be the two signings, then that's just 70, 80 million, isn't it? It's Odegaard and Abraham, and Maddison would be close to that fee. So that's why Arsenal having to balance and budget and look at it and do their signings in that way.
It's crazy because before the season started, I would have thought 40, 50 million on a centre midfielder, probably 30 million on a right back, and we haven't bought either one of them.
No.
It's crazy.
I think the right back, I think Chambers is going to be the right back this season. I just don't see him getting a right back now. I think that the three signings they'll make before the window closes is backup goalkeeper, attacking mid, and a striker. And that's, I think there'll be the three signings on top of what we got already.
I think, and I said this the other day, you look throughout the Premier League, I think fullback is one of the hardest positions to play because of the quality of the wingers. If you got Chambers, who to me, Chambers is a centre-back, in my opinion. He can do a job at right-back. You're going to play Mane, Sterling, Grealish, Son, Zaha. I just don't think in one-on-one situations, Chambers is good enough to deal with those kind of players.
Yeah, but I think now football has changed, hasn't it? In the old days, it used to be the fullback against the winger. Now it's like it's the fullback and your right-sided attacker come back. Yeah, so, and the team shifts across to protect him. You try not to leave any player one-on-one. I take your point. If he's isolated one-on-one, and that's what teams try to do. They always look to isolate. They identify a weakness in the team, and if they could get Liverpool could get their wide forward Mane one-on-one with Chambers, they would do it, wouldn't they?
Problems in it. Yeah.
The challenge for Arteta is to make sure that doesn't happen. And I know sometimes when play breaks down, there's always those situations developing, but then you've got to think tactically how you're going to get around that and bring someone across to give assistance to the right back. So Chambers isn't one-on-one. Yeah. and that's I think the way modern football's played, Kurt.
Yeah, 100%. Before I get out of here and let Graham shoot off, I will remind everyone that the new Arsenal third kit is out. Not that nobody needs any reminding, but it is out.
You're not on commission today from the club, are you?
No commission, man. Hey, I tell you what, at the start of this show, mate, I was getting all sorts of slander in the comments. But it is what it is, people. It is what it is. One of them, innit? But what kit are you thinking of getting? You said you was going to get one. Would you just get one?
I must admit, I do like that one that you're wearing today. I like the yellow one. I think the new yellow away kit. I like that one. So it'll probably be either the one you got on today or the yellow one, and that'd be the first time I bought a shirt since 2004.
Wow! So you've done well.
I held off for a long time. Mind you, I was buying my son Arsenal tops, so I was always buying tops. They got the money out of me that way. But I said I'd never buy an Arsenal shirt again when Kroenke came in until we won the league. So I'm finally giving up on that one.
You've done well. You waited like 16, 17 years?
I've waited 17 years and I've given up on it. Just imagine if you were a Tottenham fan, right? You got born and you said. You're about 4 years old and said, Dad, I'm not going to get an Arsenal at the Tottenham top until we win the league.
You still ain't had a top yet.
Give me like 60 odd there. I've never bought a home shirt.
Oh, my. Oh, my day. You know what? Tottenham can always brighten up our mood, man, But no, Graham, thank you very much for coming on. Make sure you check out his show on Aftv with James. They're calling James the young Graham, by the way.
He's the journalist. He's the journalist, I think.
He's the journalist.
But he's really good. He's a nice guy.
Yeah, he is.
And he knows his football as well, to be fair to him.
Yeah. You know what's interesting?
That show, Kurt, is every Monday now on Aftv. It'll be out, and there's one on the Aftv website now. Tactical Insight show. We in that show we looked at the Aubameyang Lacazette sort of like conundrum. Yeah. We looked at our pre-season match results. We did a piece on Ben White and Lokonga. We discussed Granit Xhaka, and then I did a breakdown of Brentford, our opponents, on Friday. I sort of watched the 3 of their games and did a breakdown there in formation, tactics, and likely team. Then I put out my predicted Arsenal team. No, not my predicted Arsenal team. The team that I would go with for Brentford. I think I agree with you. He will play. The front three will be Pepe, Lacazette, and Aubameyang on Friday. But I will play Saka, even though he hasn't had a lot of minutes and he looks a bit rusty. I just think he offers us more balance and creativity in that position than Aubameyang.
So just quickly then, what was the 11 that you would have picked if you was picking?
The 11 I went with was Leno in goal, back four of Chambers, White, Mari, and Tierney, because Gabriel's injured. So it was Leno, Chambers, White, Mari, and Tierney. That was my back four. My holding two midfielders were Xhaka and Lokonga, not El Neni, because I think El Neni might play. I hope he doesn't. But I just switched Xhaka on Sunday against Tottenham. Lokonga sat as 6 and Xhaka played more further forward. So I just switched it and put Xhaka at 6 and Lokonga further forward, but they were my two middle players. And then up front, I had Smith Rowe at 10, and then I had Pepe on the right, Lacazette in the middle, and I had Saka on the left. So I left Aubameyang on the bench based on pre-season form, based on he hasn't scored pre-season, and based on the fact that he's not. I just don't think suits Arsenal stretching the pitch on the left-hand side. He offers no creativity, and he's not getting in the box to score goals. So that's the reason why. But I think that he'll play on Friday. He's the club captain.
Yeah, he'll play.
And Brentford, to be fair, might be the game that kicks him off. Let's just hope it is that.
Yeah. Do you know what? The team you picked, I think the only changes I would make, I'd play Cedric ahead of Chambers, just because I think he's got a better partnership with Pepe. Yeah. And
but the thing is, we are predominantly a left-sided team, aren't we? Now, the other thing we haven't factored in is in terms of Ben White could be the person who then gets forward on the right-hand side, maybe, who drifts out of defence, and then Chambers can come across and fill his position. So where Cedric can't move across and cover White, he's not a centre half. But that depends how you want to play, of course. I think White gives us more options on that right hand side. If we are squeezing up the pitch. But I agree with you that Cedric and Pepe is a better combination. I just think looking at it pre-season, I've seen Chambers play on the right side. I've even seen Bellerin play on the right side. I haven't seen Cedric play. I think he played in the early games, but I think he's second to. I think the pecking order at Arsenal right backs now is Chambers, Cedric, and Bellerin. That's what I think. So I'm not. I agree with you. I picked that Chambers selection really based on what I think happened. To be fair, I didn't. But it's not as if I'm thinking, I value Chambers over Cedric or Cedric over Chambers. So maybe my selection there is more of a safe selection than what I think Arteta would do. But it's one of those positions I'm not bothered who I play there, to be honest, because we haven't got. It's not as if we got the lad at PSG who's gone from Inter Milan. What's his name? Hakimi. I watched him on Saturday night for PSG, and I thought, God, if we had him at right back.
He's some player, and he scored as well.
I wouldn't argue against Cedric playing there right back. Yeah.
Just finally, by the way, obviously Messi has been announced by PSG. His contract before tax is £1 million a week. I mean, that is unbelievable, isn't it? £1 million a week.
I mean, it just shows that there's no money in La Liga. I think the Liga is gone, isn't it? Ronaldo's gone, Messi's gone, Neymar's gone.
Yeah.
And what's the challenge for him at PSG, though, Curtis?
Champions League, isn't it? That's it, really.
It can only be Champions League, can't it? Because if only Pochettino, an ex-Spurs manager, could not win the league with that front line. because that is an unbelievable front line, isn't it? So look, the money's in the Premier League. That's why the Premier League is getting the deals done. There's no money in Italy now, and there's no money in Spain, is there? So and obviously PSG is a powerhouse, isn't it? As simple as that. And because they're owned by the Qatari family, a bit like Man City. So I can see Man City and PSG being the two fighting out for the Champions League this year.
Yeah. Just finally, Mr. Modo, thank you for the super chat. Who would you say has a higher work rate between Odegaard and Maddison? My concern is that Maddison could turn into a Rolls-Royce type of player like Ozil. We need a high work rate over luxury. I'll let you answer that, Graham.
No, I think that Maddison works hard from what I've seen for the team. So I wouldn't say there's much difference between them, to be fair. Odegaard definitely worked hard for us off the ball last year. So I think Maddison could do that. And I wouldn't say he looks like, I look at Maddison, he looks a bit like a Beckham, doesn't he, in his looks. And so sometimes people judge people on their looks, that he looks a sort of a prima donna, maybe a bit of a playboy, or you know. But I think he's got, I've watched him for Leicester. Obviously, he offers things from set plays. He's a good creative player, but I've also noticed that he's worked hard off the ball in games. So I think that the question is, who do I think works harder over Odegaard and Maddison? I haven't watched enough of their games to make a judgment. I can only judge on what I've seen, and I see them very similar, in fact, in their work rate. You know, Maddison, I've seen him work hard for Leicester in games, and I just think the reason why I want Maddison over Odegaard, I'll say it again, is purely and simply two things. One, he scores goals, whereas Odegaard, even you agree, doesn't score enough goals. But the thing I like about him is football now is decided on set pieces. A lot of football now, players play to get free kicks, get the ball up the pitch, break the play up, get a free kick, a really good cross into the box, or a set play. And Maddison's got a brilliant shot on him from a free kick. We haven't got someone with his skill from a dead ball. And also, he's good at sort of like set pieces, corners and free kicks into the box. In wide areas, you want good delivery. So that's what he offers. Odegaard has got that sort of skill as well, but not quite, in my opinion, as high as what Maddison's got. And Odegaard's got lots of qualities. And if he came in, I wouldn't say that it's a bad move for Arsenal, because I think he would bring qualities to the team that we don't have. And we saw a lot of that last season, particularly in that West Ham game when we drew 3-3, when he got us back into the game. With he's got a lovely weight of pass, Odegaard.
He has,
and he is an authentic number 10. So I wouldn't be against it. In terms of work rate, I think they're quite similar, in my opinion.
We'd rather. I think for me, just Maddison, purely because he can get you 10 goals a season. I think Odegaard's a good player. Bit Ozil-esque, isn't he? Ozil-esque how he plays, but probably. I
love the way he glides across the pitch. And he's got a lovely left foot, and he's got tremendous qualities. I think last season, I like sometimes when Smith Rowe pushed out wide left and he played at number 10. I thought that and they switched positions occasionally. I thought it looked really good and worked really well. And I think the Partey, Odegaard, Smith Rowe combination last year was part of the reasons why we improved in the second half of the season. Yeah. We didn't have that in the first half of the season. Partey was adjusting into the team. Odegaard didn't come to January, and Smith Rowe didn't get in the team till the new year. So if I'm looking at some positives, if Partey gets fit, Odegaard comes, and we keep Smith Rowe fit, there's no reason why once we get through these first early games, which are going to be different with Chelsea, Man City, which will probably, there might even be 2 L's there, you know. But once we get through those games, if we get those 3 players playing and we keep them fit, there's no reason why we can't sort of like get into the top 5. That's the minimum requirement for Arteta this year. He's got to get us back into Europe, and I want to see us finishing 5th, because that's where I think we should be. I don't think we're as good as the 2 Manchester clubs, Liverpool and Chelsea, but I think we should be 5th. That's where I expect us to be.
That's interesting. So, 5th back in the Europa League. I think most people, when you say top 4, everyone is saying, Liverpool, City, United, Chelsea, in whatever order you believe. It's just, so you believe we should be getting ahead of Tottenham, ahead of Leicester.
Yep. That's to me what he's got to do and achieve. Now, the advantage of that is if you get your side into the top 6 and you're playing well, if one of those top 4 clubs has a blip for some reason, you're in a position to take advantage of that. And you've got to remember, he's got one big advantage this year, Curtis. Strange as it might be, no European football. He's got all week to work on the training ground, hasn't he, with players? All week to prepare for games. And he that's why he needs to trim the squad, get the players he needs in, get the 11, maybe 14 players who he thinks are going to be the full team that he needs this season, unless we get major injuries. but keep that 14 fit, maybe a couple of rotations here and there, and then work on the training ground in systems and styles of play to get those players functioning so that they're ready for every Premier League Saturday, Sunday and Monday whenever we're playing, because we haven't got the fixture congestion. And so he's got no excuses, Arteta. That's one thing we haven't talked about. He's got all week to work on the players and tactics.
Yeah.
They're not travelling back, recovering. So he can spend extra days on the training ground, get the players in. And we've seen in the past, Chelsea and Leicester have won the league with no European football. I'm not saying we're going to win the league.
Yeah.
I'm just saying we can get into a European position. And I think of the four clubs at the top, Man City and Chelsea will fight out for the league, in my opinion. And then Manchester United look as though, with the quality they've added, that they're going to be up there as well. So it's possible that Liverpool might have a dip. They get Van Dijk back, so they could be strong again this year. But just imagine Salah or a couple of their key players got injured and they got European football as well. Maybe if their league form tailed off, if we're in 5th place, we could take advantage of that and sneak in. It's not beyond the bounds of impossibility. So for me, finish 5th and to be knocking on the door for 4th, if he has that sort of season and a decent run in the FA Cup, that for me, I think is as good as we can expect this year. But if he doesn't do that, and it's the same old, what we've seen, the sort of boring football that you talked about, you're bored of watching, and we're not making progress, and we're not knocking on the door for the Champions League and in a European position, I'm afraid it's going to have to be bye-bye. They're going to have to think about who they're going to bring in to replace him.
Yeah, and like Capillan said as well, African Nations Cup in January, so that's Aubameyang, Partey, Pepe out for 4 weeks. You know, we're going to have a lot to deal with this season.
But that's why he wants to bring in a forward, isn't it? He wants to bring in a forward to replace Aubameyang. We'll have Martinelli back to play with Saka by then. We should take care of the Pepe leaving. You just say El Neni.
Well, we don't mind El Neni going. That won't make us any worse.
Who was the other one?
Pepe.
Oh, no, Pepe. Yeah, I said Pepe, Aubameyang, and Partey, wasn't it? Yeah.
Partey, sorry.
So we would have Lokonga. Lokonga would take Partey's position.
It's a big loss for 4 weeks. Those three.
Yeah, of course. But unfortunately, that's the way it is, isn't it?
Yeah.
All the more reason then to have a good run then between once we get the Man City Chelsea games out of the way, have a good run up to Christmas. So we're in a position that we've got the points in the bag to be able to cope with that loss maybe. But if we have the same sort of start we had last year, remember we won a couple of games at the start last year, then we had a ridiculous poor autumn into November. If that transpires this year, and then we lose those players to the African Cup of Nations, our season will effectively be over, wouldn't it?
What's your prediction? What's your prediction for Brentford?
I worry about this game because if you're going to play a promoted club, playing on first game on their own pitch with that, and also with fans in the stadium, is almost like a nightmare, isn't it? It's not a nightmare, that's maybe, but it's the best scenario for a promoted club. You want to play a promoted club after about 5 or 6 games when they're into, So what's my prediction? I still think we've got the quality to beat them. As simple as that. I've watched them. I think that they're, as I say, they press high. They'll be very threatening from set plays. They've got 3 tall centre back to go forward for corners. And Lingaard in midfield's quite tall as well. They are quite a tall team. They worry me from set plays. They might play for set plays, to be fair. It depends. I mean, I think he'll set up with a back 5, and say 3 at the back and 2 wing backs who will push back. So, but I think when they go forward, that's the time we've got to take advantage. If we can have a turnover with their wing backs high, try and get our wide players into spaces between their wing backs and their back 3 to create some overload and get into scoring positions. If we can do that, I think we could beat them. I think that we're good enough to beat them, and I'm expecting us to win. But this is Arsenal, isn't it? So don't take anything for granted. I just think they have got some good players. I like that Frank Onyeka, the one they bought, the Nigerian from the Danish league. He looks almost like their version of Partey. They got Henry on the left, who's almost like their Tierney, gets up high all the time. They've got Canos and Mbumo, are really good wide forwards who can create assists. Tony is obviously one we got to watch. He's
very good.
33 goals last year. They've got the new guy from Celtic at the back. They have got, as I say, I think some good players. But you put our players against their players, and you think that on paper we are the stronger side. So why would you not think that we should win the game? Football's not played on paper, of course. It's played on the pitch. Arteta sets them up right, and the players deliver. Will win the game. Simple as that.
Yeah, I'll go for a 2-1 win. I can't see us keeping a clean sheet. I think Tony will trouble us, but I think we'll beat them 2-1.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'll go with you then. 2-1.
go 2-1. Are you just quick? Yeah, are you going to the Chelsea game the week after?
I am. Well, I'm promised a ticket because I'm a silver member this year, but well, I'm a silver member anyway. But a guy has promised me. I sometimes have trouble getting tickets for the big games. But a guy has promised me a ticket, so I should be at the Chelsea game.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I'll probably see you down there. But listen, Graham, thank you very much for coming on, bro. Pleasure to have you. Over an hour and 40 minutes. It's flown by. And people are saying in the comments, what's your secret? Someone said you don't look 60, you look about 40 odd.
I don't know about that. I think when I look in the mirror, I see myself as 60, and when I wake up, I feel 60 now. So that's the only thing of getting older. You sort of like in your mind you still feel young, but your body tells you different. So, but no, there is no secret. Maybe it's just a bit flattering on the video.
Yeah, man.
But no, yeah, I appreciate the kind comments, and as always, mate, it's always a pleasure to come on your channel and keep doing what you're doing, bro. It's
yeah, man. I appreciate it, Graham. Make sure you go and check out his show on AFTV with James. Like this video, over 1,500 of you, and subscribe if you haven't already. And I'll be back tomorrow around 2 o'clock rather than 3 o'clock. Big up to Graham for coming on. Appreciate it, bro.
Pleasure, mate.